You're watching Tech Talk in affiliation with Tech for Techs. We're a community that supports independent trade with the help of vendors and distributors. We're live every Thursday at 8 p.m. London time, and we'll be streaming to Facebook and YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. You can listen to our podcast on Apple Podcast, Spotify, Amazon, Google, TuneIn, and many more. And now, the moment you've been waiting for, and your host, Philip Griffiths.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Tech for Tech Tech Talk, where we help your business grow. This is episode number 15, and it's the Tech for Tech story. Please comment in the comments section and let us know where you're viewing from and what company you work for. And also let us know if we're talking to ourselves or if you can actually hear and see us. And obviously, that would be a bonus. Otherwise, it's going to be a bit of a pointless show. If you have any thoughts or questions on this topic, please comment. Otherwise, obviously, it's going to be a pretty short show. And if you do want your name to show, and you're in the Tech for Tech's Facebook group, please click the link. I'm just putting it in the chat at the moment, and that will allow your name to be displayed within the actual live stream. Today, we're joined by Jennifer Griffiths as well as Cormac O Donoghue. So in this show, it's a bit of a role reversal, really. Instead of myself asking the questions to the guests, Cormac is going to be asking me and Jenny the questions about Tech for Techs, how we started, and Tech for so on. Oh, wait a second, I've got a message coming through from a Mr. Robot, apparently. What's it say?
Danger, Will Robinson! Danger! No, Will Robinson! Danger!
Oh, basically, he's just saying warning because Cormac's going to be asking some weird questions, apparently. So, okay. So before we go on to that, before we go ahead, let me just introduce Cormac. This is just a bit of information about him.
I'm the most wanted man on my island. Except I'm not on my island, of course. More's the pity.
Your island? You mean Ireland?
Yeah, it's mine.
You're a madman.
There you go. That's Cormac.
Sweet man. There we go.
Right.
Excellent on. So have you handed over control to me?
Yep, it's all over to you. So do your worst or be your best, whichever way you want to do it.
Good evening, Tech for Techs. The coup d'etat has happened. No, I actually got on to Phil and Jen, and I thought for all they done in the group, it'd be interesting to know the backstory of how Tech for Techs started, where it's all going, and basically quite a few questions that we have down. Now, for all the people who are watching, hello, Peter, Richard, Jason, and other people that I haven't spotted yet because I haven't put on my second screen a while. I would love this to be a kind of interactive show. You all have to help a brother out there. So roll in more questions. I'm talking to you there, Pete, as well. Peter and Jason, throw in questions. So, lads and lassies, are you ready, Phil? Are you ready, Jen?
I'm ready.
I'm ready to go.
Actually, this is a question where, hi, Ben. Ben's after popping in. Ben, throw in the questions as well. This is a general question that I think most people want to know. It's kind of our most requested question out there is, how I'm going to ask you in a little while how you got into tech. Actually, we'll start with that, just an easy warm-up question. Just short answer, let us go. How did you get into tech to begin with?
Do you want me to go first or Jen?
Ladies first there.
All right.
Okay.
I had taken, I didn't know what I wanted to be growing up. Nurses and teachers is about the only thing career-wise that ladies get into in South Alabama. So I knew I didn't like either one. And I told my mom, I said, is it okay if I just become a housewife or something? I could do that. But I digress. I went on to school after high school, took some clerical classes and stuff. And This is back in the days of Lotus and 123, DBase, and WordPerfect. Now, that's a long time ago for everybody listening. And I noticed that the book that they gave us wasn't working. The commands in it weren't right. And I showed my instructor, and long story short, I had to rewrite the correct commands for DBase and Lotus for the students of the class once I figured them out. Fast forward a few years, and my next door neighbor saw me sitting there on my front doorsteps, going through a tough time, didn't have a job. And he says, "Come see me tomorrow at work." And I went out and I applied for a job where I'd be answering calls at Dell for the Dell tech support. Got my first business award as a Dell tech support phone service person. I met up with Phil, and after that, we opened the store, Chip's Computers, together. He had already had the call out, so that's how I got started.
Yeah,
Excellent.
okay. Slightly different for me. I was. It's probably one of those things. Always been interested in computers. The days when geeks weren't really that popular. They seem a little bit more popular these days. I wouldn't say I was a
Yeah.
full-out geek though. I did actually go outside now and again and maybe play football and go around to mates' houses and stuff. But so I wasn't in 24 hours a day, but not far off. Probably if I was or allowed to, I probably would have. Went on from that, playing with my dad's BBC computer, so BBC Micro, which is an early 80s machine, and then went on to Amiga and then early PCs, so Windows 95, used Windows 3, 3.11 and so forth at school and all that. And the basics is the schools didn't know how to fix their own computers, and that's basically where I sort of started off. Then when I left school, I got a job with Sony, or basically a company what worked for Sony, but I was sort of employed by Sony but worked for this other company. But basically they repaired all the PlayStation, at the time it was PlayStation 2s, as well as what they called the PlayStation development tools, which was basically a cross between a PlayStation and a PC. So I think it was, if I remember right, 133 megahertz at the time was the processor. So basically I worked there for probably a couple of years and went from repairing those to being like a supervisor and working my way up until they decided to close the place down and move to Bodmin, which unfortunately I didn't want to go to Bodmin. This was in London, by the way. No offense to anyone in Bodmin. I don't think it was anything to do with you guys, but unfortunately they were wanting to give us a big pay cut. So it was like, nah, I'm going back home, up to Chesterfield in Derbyshire, and worked at a few shops, repair shops. Didn't 100% like them, to be honest with you, because they didn't do things right. And that's when I opened up Chip's Computers in 2005 as a call-out service. And yes, I started it as one of these dreaded bedroom traders, what everyone hates. I started off as one of those. And to be honest, there's nothing wrong with one of those. Everyone starts in the bedroom, in a garage, or something like that. Even the biggest people like Bill Gates, Richard Branson, they all started in garages, basements, and stuff like that. So don't be ashamed of working in your bedroom. And then it went from there, basically. Met Jen a few years later, and she'll tell you about how we met. I'll leave that one to her. She tells it a lot better. And then we decided to open the store, and we'll tell you about Tech for Techs in a few minutes.
Very, actually interesting. And do you know something now? Another question that I'd like to ask that we got in off people as well. Is like the way Facebook developed. You know, the way Facebook, when it introduced groups, it became a fantastic tool for us all. Like there's not one of us here who hasn't made money out of Tech for Techs or got advice and etc. etc. You know, I remember in my early days it was Bleeping Computer. You went on to there to look for help, and nowadays you can be on site and you can just post a question and someone will come in and help you. Now, correct me if I'm wrong here. I'm going to ask you how you started it. I would also like to know how it spread, you know, because I had been in a few groups, and this is where I could be wrong. actually think I read about Tech for Tech in a newspaper, in a Sunday newspaper. So I don't even buy Sunday newspaper. So I don't know what this could be, just an Irish memory just in my head. But so tell me where did the idea of forming the group from Tech for Techs come from? And I will let you answer this question. But like loads of people could have formed a group. Yeah, they have been groups where you started a group and they went nowhere. So what was the difference? What grew it? And feel free to share the answers here.
It's
Whatever
a
way.
two-part answer, really. Phil had an idea, I had an idea, and I'd been sitting on mine for a while. And he came to me one night, and he pitched his idea to me about how he wanted to do Tech for Techs. And I told him, I said, I would like to go one better. He wanted to give business advice, I think. And I said, I would like to go one better. I've seen these two ladies on Facebook, and they do product reviews, but it's all fun and games the way they do it.
Sorry, I'm
But
going to ask one question there, Jen. This is before even the group. This is before the group started. Before Facebook came, you were sitting down for some strange reason talking about tech like this at nighttime in bed. This is what we
Yeah.
do. And you go on. Sorry, I just interrupt. Yeah, go on, please.
Yeah. He said he wanted to give business advice, in everything. And I said, well, I'd like to add something to that, because I've seen these two ladies. They do product review, but it's all meant to be comedy, right? I said, but I would like to do it on a serious note for computer parts, and maybe even peripherals. I can see a need for it. And he says, well, you've got folks like Linus out there, that already do that. I said, yeah, but I want to put my own personal spin on it. I said, he's good and everything. I won't take away from him. He is really good at what he does, but I just want it to be a little bit different. And so we combined the two ideas, and I'll let him tell you more about his idea and everything. But we just combine ideas to form what it is right now.
Yeah, I'm going to say from my side of things, I've always been someone who likes creating things and making things all the way from I'm a kid, whether it be Airfix models to playing games. I always wanted to build like big cities and stuff. I always like to create something and get more of into strategy and building stuff like that. And I've always sort of played games like the original EverQuest, EverQuest 2, Star Wars Galaxies, and all that. And I've always managed guilds and so forth. And I've always had this sort of best way of putting it is a certain way and feeling I want things to actually feel like, and the members and people to be like. So it's sort of a family unit. And I think one of the questions what I've seen come in in the group mentions about that is I want everyone to get on with each other. And don't get me wrong, we always get the crazy person in the family. It's going to happen. It's like real life. You just have to give them a good spanking and get on with it. But the actual Tech for Techs, I started getting the idea a few years before. Don't get me wrong, I've been in several groups. Some of you will know me from past groups and so forth. But we started getting the idea when we won a few awards, let's put it that way, for I think Target Open Day, we won one of their one or two of their awards actually, PCR awards and different things like that. But it wasn't the awards what we found important to us. It was the contacts we made by winning those awards. People wanted to know who you were. So I was thinking, well, if we can combine all these people together, so at the time, Cooler Master, Gigabyte, A-Data, at the time, Tender was slightly after, but gather all these people together, and then distributors at the time, Target, and a few others and stuff like that. If we get them all together and work together, but also work with everyone else, so all the independents, because independents are always wanting more stuff from vendors and distributors ever. It's help, stock, whatever it is. A lot of times there's no communication between them, and we wanted to bridge that gap and bring everyone together. And Jen had the idea, as she said, about reviewing products which would tie in with it, and it basically went from there. I think it was most of it was decided over a Christmas week or two, weren't it? And we were
We
like,
got really, really sloshed that night, I
Yeah,
remember.
we knew there was going to be wine involved there. I
Yeah.
knew the wine
There was
coming
no
in there. Yeah.
wine. There was no
There's
wine,
probably
but there was
whiskey, if I
a lot
remember
of
right.
Jack Daniels.
I have a crazy
Yeah.
idea. All the best ideas.
Yeah, I had some honey Jack Daniels, and we were doing a little research with how much one can hold.
Mhm.
And
That's it.
yeah, feeling like past the drink and between us and the ideas. So yeah, over Christmas we decided to go forth with it.
Yeah, it was basically like that. And as I said, we've been in other groups, and it seemed a lot of a negative.
What year was what year did the Facebook Tech for Tech groups start?
Tech for Techs, the whole lot started. Well, we sort of started the trademarks and everything. It was right at the end of 2017, but when we actually started properly, it was right at the beginning of 2018.
Yeah,
So it was like January.
We lined up some products for reviews for that side of it well in advance. I
Mhm.
went to Ronald at Cooler Master at the time, and I asked to review a product for him of his choice, and I think he gave me a keyboard, if I'm right. And I
Mhm.
talked to Hitz, who was at Gigabyte, and he passed me over a motherboard for review, one of the RS motherboards. And eventually he would give me a case to review as well. And those were some of the first things for review that we did as Tech for Techs. And yeah, I used to write content with the reviews as well. So it would take me, working in the shop and doing Tech for Techs forever. So we only had one review per week because that's all I could do. That's all I could manage was to do the review write up for one per week, plus still doing the video and everything. Oh, it was we had to lose the write up side. I didn't have enough time to do as much content as I wanted to. It was starting to get really, really demanding. So we had to drop the write up.
And we found
And
the viewing numbers of the videos was a lot higher than the write up as well. So don't get me wrong, we still get a lot of people going to the website for the written reviews, what we did 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But the actual video reviews, you're talking like 100 times the amount of people are watching them compared to the written review. So we spent our time on that side instead.
And a question here. First of all, I'd say hello to people who are after coming in. Russell, Paul, Alison. Hello, Alison. Greg gave my tennis. Actually, that's a good thing there. Seeing Alison and stuff. There's a question there from Simon Parks. Okay, and this is, I think, is a very good question because I'm in a lot of groups. All right. And some groups I don't even participate in anymore. I've seen bullying going on. I've seen this and that. And Simon's question was, how did you set up such a fantastic group? And that's not me or Simon probably kind of in any way kind of setting up the group. I say a lot of people feel that way, in the sense like even this week I had communications with Peter, Alison, and other people, another 2 or 3 people outside the group, and it's kind of it gives a safety net where we can all go with each other for advice. But generally, I think that is a genuine question. That there seems to be a very helpful attitude, and even though it's for texts, it's kind of like I've seen questions, which I've seen people get attacked for easy questions in other groups, I'm sorry, but not everyone knows everything. All right. And I absolutely, I will leave a group if I see a kind of a pack mentality attacking someone. I just don't
Yeah,
want it.
I don't
It's the
like that.
playground stuff. Forget about it. Go away. Don't want it. Don't want to be in a group like that. And there's people who has a lot more knowledge than me, and people less knowledge, and that's the thing to pass on the knowledge. So that's long. How
Well,
do you keep it such a friendly group? What is the idea behind it?
the way we do that is simple. If I were to put it in my words, Phil and I have played games together where we would run guilds.
Oh,
And Phil would be the guild leader, and I was usually on his council. Well, it's role reversal, I would think now. But I kind of kept in my head the family first mentality that Phil always had. And he had a zero tolerance for drama. You could have drama all you wanted, but you would have it out the door. Was the way we did it.
That's an excellent answer, actually.
So,
not that I understand guilds too much, but that is an excellent answer. Yeah.
So when we were running our guild and everything, well, one I'm just thinking of one in particular. You could have drama and everything, or you could sort it out, or you could get out. And that was the thing. It's okay to have a little disagreement, but get over with it and be done, or leave. And so we run Tech for Tech pretty much like that. It's family first. We like to treat the place as a family. No drama, no knocking each other on race, religion. It doesn't have a place in Tech for Techs. If it's not about technical things, well, then it doesn't belong in there. Plain and simple. Just follow the rules.
Yeah. Another thing is we treat everyone the same, or at least try to. Whether you're Alison from EADR, Russell from Lexar, who I can see is watching, if you're Peter, if you're Target, CMS, Spire, VIP, if you've got an income of £1 million a month, or you've got an income of £100 a month, we treat you all the same. We don't favour someone because they've got more money or less money or whatever. It's a group for everyone. So we want everyone to be equal. But also, I think in a lot of cases, people realise that there's a lot of people watching them in the community. So if they, and one specific vendor did, let's just say, decided to be a little annoying or whatever, then he's going to upset everyone in the community, and obviously they don't want to do that. And the same,
and you really don't want to upset me. So
yeah, and obviously if you go and upset, if you're a call out service and you go up and upset everyone in the group, do you really want to upset all these distributors and vendors who you want to work with? It also has that effect as well. Don't get me wrong, it's not the main thing, but as Jen said, no drama, hate drama. If you're going to cause drama, well, get lost is a simple answer. And even if you're a vendor or distributor, I don't want it. Simple as that. I can do without it. I've got time to spend on other stuff.
I think your ethos actually spreads right down through the group. I think, to be fair, it's kind of that the way you started it is right across the board, and it's lovely to see so much respect in the group. There's still a couple of questions now. There's another one from Alison, and since we're on this subject, what's the best parts and what's the worst parts of running this group?
The best part is you get to be around so many really helpful people. And I will also say that I really enjoy reviewing the products as well. I get to see some things before you guys do. And it's really hard not to tell you about it, but I do manage, if it's one of those things that hasn't hit the stores yet, I have to, non-disclosure. But I really enjoy the product review side of things. And then when I can help somebody else in the group help you out with anything, that is it's really rewarding for me if I can help you out. I've had some people message me on Facebook personally, and that's fine and all. I don't mind helping. But yeah, it's a really rewarding thing.
Yeah, I think it's very similar to me, to be honest with you. It's the best thing is the people in the group. It's the community and everything. The worst thing,
All the
I'd say-
boxes from the deliveries.
Yeah,
yeah, we do get a lot of boxes delivered.
Getting the recycling out the door.
You get a lot of people who presume things a lot of times.
Yeah.
Like a common one is, oh, you get all these products to review and you're going to make lots of money from it because you can sell it afterwards. Well, the actual fact is we don't sell any of it. We've got loads of stuff piled up because we reuse it. And not only that, do you really think we're going to get rich off selling a £3 USB adapter?
Yeah.
It takes us a whole day to review a product.
Yeah.
We ain't going to get rich selling £3 product.
The
No.
best presumption anyone ever made, well, I gotta say worst, but the best of the worst was when they called and asked for Phil, they asked for the owner of Tech for Techs. And I said, speaking. And they said, no, I want to speak to Phil. I said, well, do you want to speak to Phil or do you want to speak to the owner? I mean, and they said, but Phil is the owner. I said, no.
I wasn't going to know. In this day and age, my God almighty.
Jen is definitely the official owner in
Yeah.
life and in personal life and in work as well. She's the boss.
This is now Richard and Richard and Ben there. Richard was saying it's well done in creating such a useful group. Have so many contacts. He said text to Alison that knows mentioned Rahul and Mind the Mac, and also Ben there. Hey Betty baby, is said it's been the largest builder of business for the last 18 months. And they have a massive point about that in the sense that it's so good having a working knowledge that if you don't know something, you can post the question and come back. And that's where this is where I feel like there's a team besides be on my side. That's where the group has come with, that there's kind of a team element and we can all reach for it. So question I need to ask you for yourselves, because next time now you're having your honey what was it?
Honey Jack Daniels, yeah.
Sweet God, what is honey? Don't tell me you just put honey into the Jack Daniels.
No, it's sold that way. Actually, it's got honey in it, the whiskey, and it's really good.
Right, we'll take your word for it. Okay, we won't argue. We got this group out of it, so let's not argue about it. But where do you see? Do you have any plans to develop anything secretly going on? Or I know this is kind of thrown out of the question. Maybe you just want to let it grow organically. Like even I like the way it's grown organically. Like even this show, the way you started this is episode 15 or something. That's like it's a real. I think it's real added something to the group. So anything else on the plans?
Phil and I all the time are pitching ideas off of each other. Some stick, some don't, and we vote down as more ideas than we even push through because we don't want to mess it up is the best way of saying it. If we don't think it's going to pan out and be good for the community, we'll just let it slide until another idea comes along. But we're always wanting to go forward with it and make it even bigger and better. Is my answer.
Good answer, yes.
Well, that's a good answer. Let's have a look. Going forward, we do have a few things sort of planned, but not 100%. But the problem is we have a lot of NDAs, so non-disclosure agreements with certain places. So from that statement, you can probably guess we've got some interesting things if we've got NDAs signed. but I can't really say much. But let's just say the live shows are going to keep on going. This is the 15th live show, and the reason why it's called the 15th, because it's not actually, it's about the 25th, but this is the 15th one. Yeah, I know, doesn't add up. We're doing Microsoft's calculations here.
This is film math, okay?
There's a nerd joke if you ever got one.
The reason being is this one, the ones with numbers on can actually go onto the podcast system, so they have to go in an episode order. Where some of the shows we do, which usually involve vendors, they're doing presentations.
Thank you, Walter White.
Let's just say we had, I don't know, Russell, for example, who's in chat from Lexar. He came on a show and he did a presentation about Lexar products.
Oh.
Obviously, because it's a visual show, it can't go on as a podcast. So we generally call those vendor specials. So they usually don't go onto podcasts. So the ones with numbers on generally go to be a podcast.
And they can
and then the vendor specials just stay on the likes of YouTube or Facebook and so forth.
They can't go on the podcast. Why are they? Because they're
because
advertising.
he's most of the time showing maybe a pie chart or a graph or even a product. So
if he's showing a picture of a case, it's going to be very
hard for people
at the other end to.
You can't very well say, now this USB port here is going to be...
I thought it was some sort of crazy advertising thing. I didn't know.
No.
It was like, oh my God, this was going to be advertising. No, somebody else done a very good question, and I like to give them credit. But so bear with me for a second. It's back to Ben, actually. Any plans for a giant Tech for Tech meetup? Obviously, we won't mention what's going on in the world. We'll move past that. The world's a happy place. All that is finished. Life is good. Life is still good, but it's great. So you're after hiring Wembley Stadium. Yeah. No, but are you going to branch out into something like this? Are you going to bring everyone over to my little village in Crosshaven?
I would actually love to have a get together with the group, just so that everyone could get together and speak and talk and get to know one another. When I think about groups getting together, I'm always thinking about open day at Target, how everybody goes into the room and they look at what the vendors have, what's new with the vendors, and they go around the room and they look everything, they make contacts with the vendors, and then at the end of the night, what do we all do when the bar opens? We pile up at the bar and we sit together, and the rest is history. We have a social get up for a bunch of geeks, for all of you that are listening. For the people that are not very social, it's the ultimate party that they put on. And I would like to do something like that for Techs, where people like Allison from East Anglia could come and represent her company. You could come, and represent yourself, Cormac, and
represent the chickens.
Yeah.
Chicken farming.
So Target and CMS, the vendors and distributors and everything, they could all come in and just have a real good time doing what they do best.
Short-term plans, really. This year, obviously, with everything going off, anything like that's going to be on hold, to be honest. Obviously, we've got to work with situations what they are. But I think if we did do something like that, we'd start off small, just like Tech for Techs. We don't want to go overboard. We don't want to, obviously, spend a small fortune because, well, we don't charge any of you guys for being in the group. We don't get any money for doing any of these reviews or anything like that. All our money comes through is basically monetization on the likes of YouTube. So actually, we get very little coming from the Facebook group directly. So we've got to obviously finance something if we do anything like that. So more than likely, it'll start off small, like, hey, let's all meet up. If anyone who fancies I don't know, a pub or a casino or a wherever on a specific day of a specific month, and then maybe go from there. Maybe get a few vendors involved, food distributors, and grow.
Sorry, Phil and Jen. You have enough star pulling power now. All jokes aside, in the sense that you could get, like, you would be able to get enough people, vendors to want to meet up. I know myself, to come from Ireland, it would be worth it for me to go over, meet hands on, and do that. So that is, Peter has asked the question. I suppose that is a long term plan, I suppose, for you
Yeah.
at some stage. Because I actually personally think that while what went on in the world is happened, and it made a lot more things like Zoom important, etc., etc. There is certain things there where you would want to go and meet the people. And anyway, at the end of the day, we're all self-confessed nerds in one particular way. So it's always nice to meet your tribe.
Yes.
You know, and
I met one of the I've met several people that I've reviewed for at other people's events. So I met our friends at Acasa. I met them at the Target show. I met Jamie Plumridge. He bought me a drink at the bar. And that was how we got to talking. He was at Tenda. And just about Hits had been coming to see us for a long time, and Ronnie as well, Pete from Bullguard, and the list goes on and on. But I looked forward to the once a year shows that people would have. Like I said, there was Target, and there used to be another one we would go to in Leeds at the old Armory. I want to say it was the PCR.
Yeah, it was one of the PCR boot camps. Yeah.
Yeah. And just things like that people do. We met a lot of people in London just before lockdown at an event that was hosted by CMS, and there was some really good vendors there as well, that some of which we are working with right now.
you need to organize one, because I have never went to one, because I got into tech later in life. I didn't even start my business till the last couple of years. So I need friends. You need to start one of these things. All right. Now I have a question for you. The money found in the Cayman Islands, the allegations exposing the news of the world. Now for the heavy hitting questions.
Oh,
no. What do you do to unwind? Seriously, because I think that's a question that most of us, Jesus, people further down the line than me, that's the questions I ask now, not people how to get more business and doing all right. How do we unwind from this?
That's easy. After I cook, after I cook my tea at night, I run up the stairs faster than I thought I could move. Plop down in my chair here where I am right now, and I play a game called Scum. And basically, that's killing zombies.
So you use tech to unwind from tech.
I do.
Right, everybody needs some sort of
tech,
12-step meeting in a while. All right, don't worry about that.
Tech for techs, you see.
Right. Why did that? What do you do to avoid them?
I kill zombies.
To be honest, okay, yeah, I do play Scum with Jen because it's something we can do together. But obviously, we watch TV and all this stuff like that. But I don't get as stressed as from work as a lot of people do. In all honesty, I find that because we've got Chips Computers, a retail store, I can deal with that in the daytime, and I actually unwind a lot of the time doing the tech for tech stuff. So I'm one job's work and one seems a bit unwinding. It's a bit weird, to be honest. I think
I agree. It's therapeutic when I sit there and put together the videos, because, like Phil, I like to build things and be creative. So when he gives me his film that he has filmed, I will cut the bits out where he has had to start over umpteen billion times and get a giggle with that. And I'll put the editing in and the B-roll in and decide how I'm going to end it and how the transitions are going to flow and everything and what goes where. So yeah, it's a way of just de-stressing is making that video
I
for you
understand.
guys to enjoy.
I understand
Yeah.
completely because it's I was laughing. I was nearly like I wasn't mocking you when I said, "Oh, you're using tech to unwind from tech." But like when I come in, maybe there on a Friday evening, I might throw something on the television, but I'll lose interest. But then what I will do is I might start developing a Facebook ad or something like that, something creative, or I might go out and start filming stuff, even though it's still work related. It's not. I actually regard that as my off time, doing something creative so it's still nearly work, as I said, but it's not because it's creative. Then I do have another question. As people who have been around in tech for a while, where do you see tech itself going? Where do you see computers going with more and more clouds? People are always they've been harping on about the data tech, the business for years. Where do you see it?
Well, a lot of people said that computers were dying off. And then we had this, I hate to bring COVID into it, and they've made a comeback, it seems. That webcams, I had one webcam in my store for about 5 years. It just sat there on the wall being lonely. And when this all kicked off, it was one of the first things to fly out the door.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get, very many stock of them after that. And I thought, well, that just goes to show that, anything is possible. Things can turn around. So I think that computers are going to be around for a long, long time. I don't see them dying out. I see them going in different directions. Gaming computers are going to get stranger and stranger, I do believe, for some people that don't understand cooling and things like that. I think RGB and ARGB are here to stay, and they're going to get even more psychedelic than we know them. So if you don't like that, well, you're in for a heck of a ride.
Yeah, I think future holds many things, but to be honest, if you look over the past, it's all been very similar. You've always had that big PC in your house, which even now most people generally have, especially if they're into gaming or photo editing. And then you have some satellite devices. Well, when I say satellite, like smaller devices, laptops, notebooks, tablets, phones, and so forth. Cloud-wise, I think it's going to take a while for cloud to take over because there's so many places around the world that have poor internet connections. So doing anything cloud-wise is just absolutely bad, to be honest with you. And one of the biggest countries, believe it or not, which everyone thinks will have the fastest internet, which is the States, in a lot of places, their internet is a hell of a lot slower than it is in the UK.
Yeah,
so this product are aimed at people in the States. So cloud backup's not always an option, especially if they're backing up videos and stuff. And you try uploading, 80 gig of video on a 1 meg internet connection. It's going to take you a week, sort of thing.
I can say in rural Alabama, I'm here to say that the internet was appalling when I lived there years ago. And I came over here and I was like, oh my God, the internet is it's just really good. Oh my gosh, this is medieval England I've stepped into, and they've got fast internet.
Yeah.
I was blown away by it. But yeah, there's some parts of America, as Phil said, that the internet is just like, it seems like dial-up days still.
I have a question for you there. How do ye keep up with tech? In my case, how I keep up with tech, besides the Facebook groups and all that, I would listen to 20 hours of tech podcasts a week because my passion is tech. I the whole Twit network I listen to all the time. I like Mike Smith's his show. But in general, I listen to loads and loads of tech because you know what issues are going to be developing out there. You need to know the issues. You need to know what's going on. You need to know if there's a Microsoft outage, if there's something going on, or what the way it's developing and all that. So where do you get your tech news from?
There's
Tech news. Oh, go ahead, Jen. Sorry.
I was just going to say there's several sources of tech news. One of the things though that I do is I am constantly learning through watching other people's creative materials, like other reviewers, to see what they're doing out there. I'm not taking their ideas or anything, but I want to see what I could do better through learning what they're doing. And so I'll watch different reviewers and see what they're doing now. Another way I learn about tech is just through reviewing the product itself and seeing what it's capable of doing. If, for instance, Arctic send me a cooler over, I've got to do tests on it and everything to give it a fair review. And you learn doing it that way. I learned through doing more than listening to someone else.
Yeah, I'm going to say before Tech for Techs, I'd say I used to look at web pages, Groove 3D, Hardo ACP, and a few different other places. I think Hardo ACP's gone now, but there's still a few of them out there. But generally, a lot of the time, we're getting told news and getting sent stuff directly via email anyway. If it's regarding tech related, well, we've got Tech for Techs for that. We've got 1,200 members telling us if there's anything going wrong and so forth. So, but we also monitor several Facebook groups and stuff like that, like locally, so we know if the internet's down and stuff like that with certain people. People start posting certain messages, and then we can usually pass it on. But it doesn't take long. If there's like a big issue in the area, you'll suddenly get 100 people call you all at once saying, "I can't get on Facebook," or something like that. Then Facebook's down. That's the usual thing.
It used to be Bejeweled that they couldn't play, and I would have a lady or two, I can't play Bejeweled, and I was like, "Are you using Facebook to play it?" "Yeah." "Okay, all right. Let me see what's going on here. Do remote support for." "Yep, it seems like your Facebook's down." So
I'm going to try to to see if anyone else is going to come in with questions. But I remember a tip that I got off someone, my old teacher actually. The way you go out in company the whole time and people ask you tech questions and this and that, and kind of I'll be around some house. Could you have a look at this? Like, could you have a look at that? First of all, I just tell people I don't know anything about tellies when I walk into someone's house because they'll say, I know nothing about tellies, which I don't. Tellies is my switch off. I don't want to. But and the other thing was, like, if you say to someone, like, you might spend 2 hours doing something around someone's house, and you were like, ask them if they're a painter to paint your house for 2 hours for free. Ain't going to happen, But it took me a while to kind of say, I tell you what, not a problem. What you do there is get on to us Monday and we'll open a ticket about that. As in, there you go. That's going to be billed. Right. Now we have a question here. This is Greg's, can you pronounce that? Because I'm Greg's first name there, because I've been doing a disservice to
I just usually say the Facebook user or something like that.
Yeah,
so
I'm sorry, I don't want to be disrespectful. My pronunciation is terrible. Did you guys finish any education related to IT, or was it just a hobby or passion of yours? Excellent question.
In school, I did take some computer courses, but they were software. It is all obsolete now. There isn't any need for DBase or WordPerfect or Lotus 1, 2, 3. I do remember my DOS commands. yay for me, because they are very useful sometimes. But as far as going to a technical school just to repair computers, no. The way I got into that really was at Dell. They threw us all into a classroom and said, "Here, we're going to teach you about computer repair and how to do it over the telephone." And after I stopped working there, I met up with a guy and we started dating. And he said, "You're not a real geek though until you build your own computer." And I said, "All right, the challenge has begun." And I went to a place called Tiger Direct, and they sold computer parts in the States. And I ordered a case, motherboard, processor, memory, the lot. And I said, "Right, I'm going to build a computer." And he says, "Yeah, on what planet?" I said, "No, I'm going to do this." I didn't have a parts picker like we have now. I had to just research compatibility and hope for the best. So there I was with a Cooler Master Wave case, blue, never forget it. It was beautiful. And I put my computer together on his mom's dining room table, and she stood there watching. And the only thing that he did for me, because I don't have a very stable hand, he put the processor in because I was afraid I would damage the pins. And yeah, it took off from that one build that I did.
Education for me. Well, I've got lots of views about education. I could take up a whole show about that on its own. But in basics, even though I was into computer stuff, there wasn't a huge amount really computer-wise when I was at school. It was like, oh yeah, we've got an IT class, and all it was basically you go into it, and it was more like a word processing class. It's like, copy what's on this sheet of paper, and then they'd have about 20 sheets of paper, and when you'd actually finally gone through them all after a few weeks, what did you have to do? Start from the beginning again and just do it over and over. It was pretty poor, to be honest with you. But I mainly went down the more of the business and finance route. Didn't go to university, but went to like sixth form college is probably the best way of putting it. So business and finance courses, GMVQ as it was called in the days. So I went down that sort of thing. But to be honest, it was never really a thing I really thought about getting into computers. It just coincidentally, I was basically finished school. I went down to see my brother who lived in London. He was in the RAF at the time. Stayed with him. Was in Uxbridge area. For those people down London, you've got Uxbridge, which is just on the edge. It's the last tube stop on the tube station network, basically. And basically went there. And there was a job posted, and it was like, hey, we're looking for an IT technician. I thought, I could probably do that. And before you know it, go in, and they were like, yeah, you got the job. And I was like, oh, wow, I'm surprised, sort of thing. And it just went from there, basically. So education-wise, I think in this industry, a lot of it, you've got to have the right mindset. You've got to be good at fault finding. You've got to be laid back. If you get stressed, well, you're just going to pull your hair out, and well, you're not going to last long. Let's put it that way. So you've got to be laid back, good at fault finding, because a lot of stuff you're not going to learn out of a book. In all honesty,
No.
or if you, if it's a book.
And computers are changing, and so is the software. So much and so soon. Everything moves so fast in this. So it's not like you're going to sit down and learn medical and law degrees. Law stays the law for a pretty good while. And okay, there's advancements in medicine, but pretty much stays the same for a while. And computers are daily changing. Something's coming out that you have to stay on top of. And like you said, you've got to have that mindset for it. I did not know that I was capable of it until I was, put into the call center. And then I knew immediately when I started that job, that was the job for me. I wanted to keep doing stuff like this for my career calling. I wasn't really happy in any other job after that until I joined up with Phil at Chips. And then I was like, oh, happy day. I've come home to what I love.
Well, it's interesting because I done the Comp A and I done a course for a couple of years, but the thing about I also went away and then done a social media course, and you got to learn the financial things. Running your own business is like you have to be the jack of all trades. You can't just be a fabulous tech if no one knows you exist. So you have to get the social media. And my advice to anyone starting out would do a social media course. It's vitally important. Also do a financial course or something like that, and also look around and see what skills you're not good at, and maybe if you can get someone involved in that side. But I think the question originally, I think it ends with the word passion, and as Jen was saying there, you can't just say you can't switch off. You need to know what's going on around there, and by that you
Yeah.
need to have a passion. Now there's some beautiful questions. Is there anyone else will throw in a curveball there before we start winding down? And there anything else you want to say, folks? Anyone throw something in to us, something that could incriminate them?
Yeah. Let me reply to what Peter just says about working on his stress. Peter, you've identified that you've got a problem with your stress. That's the first step. And this goes for anyone who's got any problems or whatever. You need to identify what your weaknesses are. Once you know what your weaknesses are, you can then plan how to improve or get better at them. Everyone's got a weakness. I know what mine is. Mine's English. When I say English, I'm dyslexic. A lot of people don't know that. That's why you may sometimes see me, or more than often, suddenly get words backwards and so forth. You just have to know that you've got these problems and basically see what ways you can improve on them and so forth. Obviously, it's hard in some cases. Everyone's got problems, but it's something what you need to look at and address. So what's he saying there? Don't worry about the stuff that's going well. It always looks at what needs to be improved. Yeah, so I agree there. So, sorry, Cormac?
That's a kind of double-edged. See what Peter said there, that's a double-edged sword. The stress is also nearly a plus if he can manage the stress, because I would be like that myself as well, as in, right, everything's going well, but what can we improve, and that is what separates some business from just going stale. And it's kind of, right, we're doing well, but what can we do to advance this? What can we do? And it's something I need to manage. So I understand what Peter's saying on that as well. Like, that's what separates, that's what makes the businesses grow as well, is our weaknesses are also our strong or obsessive natures of things, but with stress, for me, getting a second phone, leaving the phone at things, you leaving the phone, and you know what? I'm realizing that where people will still live if we don't answer their phone,
Yes.
Yeah, that's what it, and what's true at Green Drive. What did you find difficult starting up, or really test you, and how did you overcome it? Good question. What
Is that pertaining to Tech for Techs, or?
Yeah, I don't know, but we'll just stay in business. We'll just use it as a business, like starting business. What did you find difficult to overcome?
I've got to say, it was dealing one-on-one with the customers when we opened the shop. I was more or less used to dealing with people over the telephone, so it wasn't as personal as the face-to-face thing. And I felt a little shy at first, and the need to please everyone regardless was there. And you can't please everyone. You can't do that. I would stress if I thought that I was going to have to say to someone, no, I can't repair this. But some things just can't be repaired, and you just have to crack on with it. And
Yeah.
so that was my downfall, was people pleasing. I wanted to please everybody, and at the end of the day, I'd be so stressed I couldn't handle it.
Yeah, starting up for me, obviously I had the business, finance course and all that and so forth. I had help doing books and stuff, but I had no one to turn to if I had any problems. Let's just say I didn't know how to do something. We didn't have the facilities like Tech for Techs at the moment, so I couldn't just go on the phone and go, "Hey guys, how do I fix A, B, C, D?" It was one of those things you had to do it on your own and so forth. And I didn't really know anyone in the trade apart from the places what I worked at, which were now my competitors, which have since gone bust. They were the only people I really knew in the trade, so I had to learn everything myself. So, which generally meant I was working way too much, and I definitely still work way too much. I can tell you that now, and that'll probably never change. Even if I won 10 million on the lottery tomorrow, I'd be still working probably 7 days a week. In all honesty,
Not.
so basically, one of the things what you've got to do is when starting up or even any business is it's not work hard, it's work smart. You've probably heard the saying before. You've got to figure out is where your money's coming from. It's pointless spending 10 hours to make £10 when you can make £10 in 5 minutes. You've got to figure out where your money's coming from. And if you're not good at something, there are people out there. Hell, there's a website called Fiverr, and a lot of the stuff on that website for a fiver, they'll do your artwork for you. They'll do you a poster. They'll do your social media pages for you. You'd be surprised in what you can get for £5 these days. I wish something like that was around when I first started.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to use Photoshop when I first started. Most of my artwork was done within Microsoft Publisher, of all things. It was basically you're layering items on top of each other, and it's like, yeah, that looks good, and away you go. So where now for a fiver you can get someone to make you a business card and posters and social media posts and all sorts. So yeah, that's definitely something what I would suggest you look at.
Also, when we first started the store, there was a guy named John who worked at Target as a business advice person. Well, he came around to the store. Oh, I was so proud of our little store. We had painted it up, and it was just absolutely precious. And I was so proud. And he came in, and he ripped the store apart like Alex Polizzi. Oh, my God. I just wanted to go in a corner and die. But he was giving me, sound business advice on how to make the store better. I just couldn't see it at the time. And he also asked me, how much time do I spend doing this task and that task and so forth? And he says, you need better time management skills.
Mm-hmm.
He says, what I want you to do is write down the time that you walk in the door and what you're doing at that moment, whether if it's getting up to go to the coffee machine, whatever. And when you get back to the bench, I want you to write down the time and what you're doing and so forth. Every time you change a task, I want you to write it down on a notebook for me. And when I come back in about a month, I'm going to see how you manage your time. And he told me about how I could manage it better, how I could multitask and save time doing, a lot of things. Like if I was doing a service on one computer that only required me to reach over and click a mouse or something like that, I could also be doing diagnostics at the same time and so forth. And some of it sounds like common sense to you, but until you have someone point it out to you sometimes, you just really don't think about it. So he helped correct things like that for me, and now I can pretty much fly through whatever is thrown at me.
I see
Some
that
Regarding what,
is
bitch space.
hmm. Well, regarding what Jen just said there as well, about John coming out and visiting, which did help. A lot of people have been asking, what are we planning for the future? Okay, it's a while off, but we will start doing shop visits. Okay, not necessarily to point out and tell you, hey, your shop's a load
No.
of crap or whatever. Not to do that. Just to come meet you, see you, so forth. It's just to build a better community and so forth. Don't get me wrong;
that.
it's going to be a while off that, but it is one of the future plans.
No, that's a bloody good idea, you know. And actually, a show there, maybe doing a show as well about you know, time saving tips or time management could
Yeah.
be another show, you know.
Yeah.
Right, we're going to start wrapping up there soon, but we will finish up with these questions, all right? Peter, this is good. Peter and Ben, the first laptop you repaired. Now, Phil, you're way older than me, so you'll be cast. I'm around 10 years older than you, I would imagine. But you know, back in the Stone Age, there when you were coming out, you know, when there was
To be honest,
dinosaurs around.
around this area, there wasn't a lot of laptops, to be honest with you. It wasn't really until Windows XP came out when laptops really
No.
started popping up. Everyone had your desktops, so I
Yep.
remember a lot of Windows 95 and
Yeah,
even 3.1 desktops and stuff, and Windows NT. Well,
Yeah.
what
The
I haven't seen
first
you're
NT for
talking?
years, but
the
What
first
is that?
laptop I ever saw in person belonged to my friend Tina. We were having a girls' road trip. Now, for those that don't know what a girls' road trip is, that's danger on wheels. I'm here to tell you people. And she took her laptop with her. And this is in the days of chat rooms and everything on Yahoo. So we had this laptop with us, and I couldn't get along with it. I was ready to throw it out the window the first night because the trackpad on it was hideous. I couldn't do it, and I'm a touch typist, so my fingers were cramped on this little bitty keyboard. And I thought, oh my God, get me back home to my PC. But yeah, and hers was I want to say it was a Dell, and it had a built-in webcam and everything. And I was like, oh my God, we are really going to have fun on this trip.
I don't
What
know.
is
Regarding what Ben,
what
sorry,
is a me tac? Peter's calling could be April Fools there, Peter, because you're like I'm too
METAC
young to remember.
5033.
Because I'm way too young to remember that, mate.
Yeah, I don't know that one, but
I
yes,
don't
Ben,
know that one.
we will come and see some of you bedroom traders as well. When we take Tech for
Yeah.
Techs on the road, we'll
Yeah,
definitely
you
come
know,
see
that's
your
actually
immediate
the word.
collection.
I did think about bedroom traders there now. That's something that's going to change in our tech world. Like that's changing in our tech world because of what went on. Home offices are going to be more
Mm,
prevalent, you
I
know.
think they'll be more respected.
Oh, well, completely. Like I have a home office there now, but like we have it set up now where there's two desks. We have it all set up when it's open again, where customers come in. It's all going in express. It's as much as an office as any other place. Like
Yeah.
there's three of us that work in the time. It's just why would I want to pay? I don't want a shop front, so why would I want to pay for that? But people, since this happened, sure, home offices, that's the way things were dealing, you know. That was dealing. So yeah, so basically, Ben, they're gonna visit your bedroom. That's quite weird. We just made it weird there for you, mate. We just
Yeah,
made it
that's
weird,
weird.
Crime Watch this on Crime Watch too. And you can get a beer down at Butlin's. As Butlin's still a tin. He's just taking the mick out of me there now. Is
Yeah,
Butlin's
we're
still
going to
a
go
tin?
down to Bognor Regis and have a
Yeah.
beer in Butlins. Yeah.
Butlin's, oh my God. Yeah.
One question we do get a lot, Cormac, if you don't mind
Mm.
me sort of asking the question myself, is because other places have done this, will we start charging members for a membership fee and stuff like that? I can tell you 100% now, while we're in control of Tech for Techs and we've got no plans of it going anywhere, members will not get charged a penny. Okay, and
Yeah.
that's the whole idea. Is there are groups out there you can join where you have to make £1 million to join, or you have to pay a membership fee. We are not doing that. I don't really agree on it for this type of business. If anyone
Yeah.
has to pay, it should be vendors, distributors, and stuff like that. But we're not
But
charging
we're not gonna.
anyone to be a
Nope.
member. So
Um.
simple as that.
Right.
Also,
What about merch? Are you going to start doing merch? Like, seriously, should we not be all walking around in tech for tech, baseball caps? Should we not be like just,
You
picking
mean
ourselves?
merchandise? Merch.
Yeah, merch.
You
Well, us
want us to
youngs,
do
we call it
merchandise?
merch. Yeah, us
Merch,
merch
yeah.
for us youngs, Yeah.
Wow.
How's the
am.
merch coming?
I'm thinking sticking to repair is the better place to be, and offering, if you want to build things, build PCs and laptops for people, but kind of culling down the retail side of it for myself personally. Keep a couple of mice, a couple of keyboards, and things that
No, I'm talking
sell.
for the group. You need
Yeah,
to sell it for
he's
the
on
group.
about like tech for tech
No, we
shirts,
won't have
caps
any.
and
No
stuff like that.
caps and shirts and things like that. To promote Tech for Techs. If
Well,
you want to go out and get one yourself, print it up. Well, then that's
yeah.
cool.
If there was enough demand for it, then it's something we'd think about, but it's not something we're really basing the group off. A lot of these places, like your Linus and stuff like that, their income is obviously from the merchandise, as well as obviously getting millions of people to view them and loads of adverts and stuff like that. That's not the sort of thing we're planning, but if people want it,
Yeah,
and if we ever did, we'd make it to where it was sort of more of an affordable side of thing rather than charging you 50 quid for a baseball cap.
yeah. We
Yeah.
would make something nice like Cormac's shirt with a logo on it or something
Just
like
make
that.
a shirt with my face on it. That will sell all over the place.
Oh,
There's no
what
problem.
did just? There was a question that I got asked earlier, Cormac, in the group, and I promised that I would answer it tonight. And that's, how did I get to Chesterfield?
Oh, yes, from Alabama.
And that's a good question.
And it doesn't
Back-
involve kidnap.
No, it doesn't. But basically, one night, I was playing a game called Star Wars Galaxies. And that was a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. It was in, I want to say, 2005 on this date. And I was in the guild that Phil managed. He was the owner of the guild, and he ran the show pretty much. And I feared him. He came
Wow.
across as a really strict individual, and I had pictures of this 40-year-old man in my head that had probably a string of kids that he was chastising in the background while he played a video game, just like kind of a stereotype. And I was in the trade house, and basically what that was, you go in there and you can trade in your weapon and get better and so forth, and the next person comes along, they do the same thing. And he comes in and he speaks to me. He says something like, "What are you doing here?" And I thought, oh God, this is not the swap house anymore. And he says, "Hello, lass," to me. I was like, he's not from here. Where in the heck is he if he's calling me lass? And we started up a conversation. And it led to, "Do you want to Skype with me?" Oh, that's what he said.
Smooth, Phil boy, smooth.
And I was kind of reluctant, but I said, "Oh, okay, all right." And he says, "If it makes you feel better, I'll open my camera first." I was like, okay.
That could have gone bad.
Yes.
But it didn't, and I quickly opened up my camera. I saw this really handsome man on the other side, and yes, guys, I tried to put on my best posh voice for him. I tried to throw my accent and make it sound like his, and that was an epic fail. But he sat there and he just was really good looking and everything. And I fell for him hook, line, and sinker. And we would talk a little bit more in months to come. And he arranged a time to come over and meet me. And when he came in, he brought a tornado with him. I kid you not. One of the worst tornadoes that we had in centuries hit when he came to Alabama. So yeah, we
Yeah, I think
met
they said
through a video game.
if I'd landed 5 minutes earlier, the tornado would have taken the plane with it.
Yeah.
Wizard of
Oh, yeah.
Oz story and a Wizard of Oz story.
So yeah, we
Lads,
have Sony Online Entertainment. Shout out, thank you.
Yeah, so it was a very techy, geeky way we met.
Yeah,
It is, and I wouldn't have expected it any other way. And it's actually,
Yeah.
it is actually lovely. It is actually a lovely story. But I could have never wrote that he met in the games world. Look, we're coming up to 9:20. Where you were very good at answering the questions, excellent altogether. I've decided after this coup d'état, I'm not going to overthrow you. I'm giving you back full control of your group that you started. I've decided you were so nice that I've decided we'll give it back. And also I got a lot of hate messages from people there saying give them back to the group and stuff. No, it was a real pleasure. You have made an absolutely fabulous group. You should be very proud of yourself.
Thank you very much.
No, seriously, I like to take the mick out of people in general, but you have to give credit where credit's due. Everyone everyone in this group are after becoming fairly good friends, you know, and we are all making money out of the group, and we are all of us have been stressed out of our heads, going, God, someone answer this question, please, because there's customers coming, and it makes our lives easier. So thank you from sunny Ireland. Thank you very much indeed. All right.
You're welcome.
That's no problem, Cormac. And just to finish that off, just remember, Tech for Techs, and this goes for everyone who's watching. I know there's a lot of you out there. You get what you put in. So if you don't ask a question, you don't comment, then you're not going to get seen or found or anything like that. So if you comment and stuff and start interacting with people, before you know it, you'll make some friendships which you will benefit financially or even personally from. And I know at least one couple, should we say, or the couple now who actually met in Tech for Tech, so they don't want me to mention the name, but they are actually a couple because of Tech for Techs. So
we're going to a wedding, folks. Get your suits. We're going to a wedding.
Hopefully they'll let us do a Tech for Tech's wedding and put branding all over the wedding dress and stuff. The ideal.
Get your hat, Jen. We have a day out. Anyway,
maybe we could get a little Tech for Tech's tiara for her to wear. She can be queen for a day.
And again, guys, thanks for the brilliant comments. You make it easy to do, and again, put the effort in and you'll get the effort back. And just to let you all know, we do have a show next week as well, and it's called What Should I Stock? So with a lot of places reopening their stores next week, or at least in the UK, don't know about Ireland, but in the UK, or at least England, we are reopening the stores unless Boris changes his mind on the 12th of April.
And that's
so the show's going to be about that.
Can't be ruled out.
Yeah, obviously we don't know. It could end up being September, all we know. But in theory, we should be opening our stores in about 2 weeks' time. But this show next Thursday, and I'd like to say thank you very much for Cormac for coming up with this topic and interviewing us and being a good sport and being the best king of Ireland I've ever known. But otherwise, guys, I'm not going to give you the big spew about join Tech for Techs and so forth. You know where we are. Links are in the description. If you want to join, just go and click those. But otherwise, we'll see you next week. And thanks again.
Thanks for joining.
Thank you. Thank you for the questions, everyone.
Thanks
again, everyone.
Thank you.